Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Emily and today I'm doing a reading update and kind of a book haul too. So let's get right into it. So as some of you know, I do not like doing wrap-ups. I just don't like doing them. I hate watching them. So I do reading updates. I haven't done one in a hot minute, but I figured New Year I'm going to get back into doing them. I figured probably once during the middle of the month and then once at the end of the month and go from there. I just wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who has recently subscribed to me. I'm at 233 right now, and as I said in my goals, I wanted to reach at least 500 this year, and I am just so thankful for everyone who has subscribed or who has watched my channel or who has liked or commented. I appreciate you so much, and I am just so humbled that this many people want to watch my videos, and I am just so grateful. So thank you to everyone, and yeah, let's just get right into it. I have read 5 books, technically 4, and then I DNF'd one, and then I am currently reading 2 others, which I hope to finish roughly by maybe tomorrow. So yeah. So the first book I finished was The Last Vanish by Megan Miranda. I gave this book 3 stars, and it is a mystery thriller. So we're following Abby, who works at the Passing Inn in a small town in, I think it's, North Carolina, and she's worked here for 10 years, and over the 10 years there have been some mysterious disappearances to some people that have come to hike this trail, because in this town there is access to the Appalachian trails, and people just go missing on these trails and are never found. So at the beginning of this book, the town is once again thrust into a spotlight because another person has gone missing, and this person is a journalist who was doing research on these disappearances, and so it's just not looking good for this town. And if that wasn't bad enough, the brother of this journalist shows up and starts to dig in and do his own research, trying to figure out what happened to his brother. At this point, Abby thinks and believes that there's more going on with this town and these disappearances than meets the eye, so she also investigates everything herself. That's pretty much what the story is about. For me, I gave this 3 stars. Now, for my ratings this year, I'm using Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy's spreadsheet she does. I'll try and remember to leave the linked video down below. I really like how she has her rating system for books, and I just think it has worked really well for me. I know that I tend to give a lot of 4 and 5 stars, but this year I wanted to try something different and get more accurate ratings for my reading, so really excited to be using that. So my thoughts on this book were that for the most part it was pretty interesting, but a lot of it was really slow. We were kind of just learning about everyday life in this town with Abby, and she was slowly starting to pick things up along the way, but again, not much happened. The plot was interesting. I really wanted to know what was going on with these disappearances, but it took almost till the last maybe 25-30% of the book for things to really start kicking into gear and getting a little more fast-paced. And I felt like when we did get to the ending, there were some things still left that could have been flushed out a little bit. I felt like what happened, I'm trying not to spoil it, but I feel like the ending wasn't as satisfying as I would have liked it to be. So I gave this book 3 stars because it was pretty slow, and I didn't feel like the payoff was as good as I had hoped it would be. So this was a library book. I needed to read it because it was going back in a few days. So I read it, and then I decided that because my TBR was so long, and I did give myself 2 options to switch 2 books out, I used this one for one, and I used it for mixed reviews. Originally I had Elantris, but I used this one because I saw that Megan Miranda has a lot of mixed reviews with her books, and especially this one, so this one worked really well. I understand the mixed reviews, and I kind of fall into those mixed reviews because I enjoyed it, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Next, I read a short book, and I read this, it was an audiobook from the library, so I wanted to get to it, and it was really short, and that was All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is a sci-fi, and I gave it 3 stars. So I have my little notes here, so if you see me looking down, it's because I wrote down notes, because again, like I said, my memory is not all there. So we're following a security android who is self-aware and has hacked his own government module, and it refers to itself as Murderbot because of something that happened in its past. So Murderbot just wants to be left alone to figure out who it is and watch TV. That's all it wants to do. And I liked this book a lot. I really liked getting the perspective of Murderbot because it's not a perspective you see a lot in books. And I don't normally pick up sci-fi a lot, but when I do, I usually enjoy the books. But like with this one, I did find myself kind of like zoning out a few times because the science talk just got a little too much for me, which was fine. I don't feel like it took me away from that, but because of that, I did lower my rating. But it did not lower my enjoyment. Like, I still really enjoyed this, and I really liked the perspective of Murderbot. It really surprised me. So I'm like just so pleasantly surprised by this book that I immediately picked up the second one, which is Artificial Condition. I gave this one 4 stars. Again, we're still following Murderbot's perspective, but we also got another AI. Its name is ART or Art. And this one I don't think has like a physical body. It's like a ship kind of. And I really enjoyed getting to see another perspective. Like, this one was definitely like sassy and I just loved it. I did enjoy seeing Murderbot's character growth, and I loved getting to see what Murderbot was getting up to after the end of the first book. And I can say again that I really enjoyed this, so much so that I did give it a star rating higher. I, again, did kind of get a little lost sometimes during the science-y talk, but I enjoy this book. I enjoy this series so far. I have the next book waiting as an audiobook from my library, so I really want to get to that one soon. And I have the other ones like waiting in line for them to come to me, and I'm just so excited that I decided to pick these books up because I've heard so many good things about them, and I just love Murderbot as a character. Murderbot is one of my favorite non-human characters, I think, in a long time. So this series is so good, and if you like anything I've said about these 2 books, like, just pick the series up. It is so good, and they're short, quick, easy reads. I almost forgot, but I did use my final switch out with All Systems Red. So I use it for New Author, which I originally had The Blade Itself, but that book can also be read next month for Becca's book club, so I'm going to do that. So I use this for New Author, and I am just so happy that I did. I have no regrets, especially after all the adult fantasy I put on my TBR. Like, what was I thinking? I am just kind of in like an adult fantasy rut right now, like a slump. Like, I don't know. I'm working my way through it. Next, I read The Van Life Murders by Taylor Cluster. This I gave 3 stars, and it is a mystery thriller. And before I get into what it's about, I did read this one for the mystery thriller. This was what I had originally picked for my TBR, so we're all good there. So we're following Haley, who has just lost her job and her boyfriend, and after all that, she doesn't know what she wants to do with herself, so she decides she wants to give van life a try. So she sells all her stuff, pimps out a van, and then hits the road. However, during one of her first stops, Haley comes across this missing poster of this girl who was also a van lifer. She was also a really big influencer on Instagram. So Haley does some sleuthing. She pulls out her investigative reporter skills, and she kind of gets to work and digs deep into what could have happened to this girl and all the mystery surrounding her. And eventually, like, more people go missing and some are found murdered. So Haley is just trying to use her skills to solve these murders or figure out what's going on. She has a lot of help along the way, and she's just trying to get to the bottom of it before the murderer strikes next, and it could be her she's after. So I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was quick, fun, and easy, but I wish it had been edited more. I feel like this book could have used another round or 2 of editing. I also feel like you can definitely tell this is a first book by this author because the writing wasn't well done. I felt like the writing was all over the place sometimes, and it kind of took me out of the stories a little bit, so there's that. Not to mention the author did a lot of telling and not showing. Like, we were told the character got this information instead of showing us how she got this information, or like, just, I don't know how to explain it, but like, the author did a lot of telling and not a lot of showing. And another thing with this character, I feel like everything, all the answers and stuff kept coming to her so easily. Like, someone would show up just to give her like an answer to what this was, or give her more information out of nowhere that, she would have had to really work hard to get. So I feel like we didn't get to see the character in her element a lot because she wasn't given the chance to like go and find these things herself a lot of times. A lot of times they were just given to her, or she just found them pretty quickly. So that was a little annoying. Other than that, the story was really good. I really enjoyed the mystery aspect of it, and towards the end it did get a little thrilling and fast-paced, but I gave it 3 stars because of what I said. The writing, the character, how things came easy, the telling and not showing. So that really hindered it a little bit for me. I would say that if you were gonna look for anything that's cheesy, quick, and fun, and you didn't care like how the writing was or anything, I would just pick this book up. It's super quick and easy to read, but it's not a book I would pick up if you want like a more in-depth, good quality book, if that makes sense. The next book I picked up was Fire the Forebears by L.A. Buck. I had this one under SPFBO for my TBR. I DNF'd this one at 56%, and this is a fantasy. I'll get into why I DNF'd this, but I'm going to tell you what it's about a little bit. I'm going to read what I have written down here because I can't summarize it any other way. So we follow Cora and Tristan, pitted against one another with the people in the country they love in jeopardy. The daughter of a deserter and the son of a king have a chance to fulfill their forebears' legacy or destroy it entirely. After being ambushed, Cora is separated from her family and will stop at nothing to find them again. And after ambushing a camp, Tristan starts to question the motives of those closest to him. So essentially, I tried not to like go straight off the synopsis because you can look that up if you want to, but this is what I feel like the gist of this is. And I DNF this because it was like I would pick it up and I was enjoying it when I read it, but when I put it down I was never compelled to pick it back up, and it was starting to make me slumpy every time I would see it sitting on my Goodreads or like in my Kindle. I would just feel really bad about not picking up, so I made the decision to DNF it. I'm not sure if it'll be a soft DNF or a permanent DNF. Right now it's just DNF. I don't know what it'll be. I enjoyed the story. I couldn't really get connected to the characters, and I feel like that bothers me a lot in stories. If I can't connect to the characters and I am not caring too much about the story, then the stakes are whatever. Like, these characters could all end up dead and I wouldn't care because the characters have not made an impact on me, I guess. So there's that. The writing was good. I feel like the book was fast-paced. Like, we'd be going through one thing to the other, to the other, to the other. And sometimes I feel like that hindered the characterization process because we were moving through and there were so many characters that the main characters were talking to and going through. And when the characters intertwined, they weren't like, I don't know. It felt a little all over the place sometimes, and that the author was trying to do a lot more than the book needed. So I don't know. I really feel bad about DNFing this book because I do know that the author has passed away, and I really wanted to give this book a try because that just makes me incredibly sad that this author worked really hard on this story and isn't going to get to finish telling it. And I think that's another thing I felt hindered, that I was never going to get to see the ending of what happened to these characters and whether or not their character growth would become more prominent in the books to come. So I'm just DNFing this book. I'm not going to rate it. I don't want to rate it. I don't want to do that disservice to it. I still feel like people should pick it up because Dom from Dominish Books said that it could kind of be read as a standalone, and that was the only reason like I had really given it another chance after I found out that there weren't going to be any more, but I can't. It was making me slumpy and I just feel incredibly sad about it, but it is what it is. So unfortunately that happens sometimes. So those were all 5 of the books that I was able to get through so far in like the first 15 days. Again, like I said, I told you I am currently reading 2 other books. So I'm reading Old Country by Matt and Harrison Query, which I'm using for the book club book. It is Lexi from Books with Lexi's book club. I'm really enjoying it. It's not what I thought it was going to be, and I wish it was a little scarier, but I'll go over that more in the next reading update. And then I'm also reading Rain and Ruin by J.D. Evans, and I'm using this one for author with the same last initial as me, so E. I'm really enjoying this one. I did end up getting the audiobook for this because like I said, I was getting in like a fantasy slump, and This book was just kind of going over my head when I tried to read it, like with my eyeballs. Although I am still following along with my eyeballs while listening, but it just helps to have someone read it to me while I'm following along, if that makes sense. I'm really enjoying it. Very political, and there is some slow burn in here, like some really slow burn, and I am just really enjoying it. So I'm happy to be enjoying the books that I'm currently reading. So that is a plus for me. So now that I've gone over all the books I've read and what I'm currently reading, I think we'll just get into the books I hauled so far this month, this year, whatever, same thing. So I'm just going to put pictures up here. I'm not going to go over what they're about. And pretty much all of them but one are Kindle books, and 2 of them I got free. So let's just get right into it. I got the second book, Reaper of Souls by Rena Barron. The pictures will be here. You'll see the author's name. Sorry. So I got the second book in that, the first one being The Kingdom of Souls. Then I got The Eye of the World, which is by Robert Jordan. Then I got The Bladed Faith. I've heard really good things about this one. I got Hope in Red, which is not a book I hear anyone talk about. I picked up The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep. This one has to deal with books and like people coming out of books maybe, or going into books. I can't remember, but it sounds really good. Then I got The Bleeding Stone. This is one of the ones I got for free. Then I picked up The Last Housewife. I've heard lots of good things about this and that it has tons of trigger warnings. So if you're interested in this book, I would look up those trigger warnings first. Then I picked up Assassin's Apprentice. I do have all of Robin Hobb's 16 books for Realm of the Elderlings physically, but I am trying to downsize my physical collection a little bit. So I'm trying to get some of these books on my Kindle, and I'm just picking them up whenever they're really cheap. Next, I got Arcanum Unbounded because I am trying to read The Cosmere, and so far it's very slow going, almost non-existent. So I picked this one up because it has some little stories in it that kind of weave throughout all the books. Next, I picked up One Dark Widow. I originally wasn't interested in this until I think someone talked about this book. I don't know if it was Riley Marie, but they talked about it, and I was like, oh, that sounds really good. So I had it on my wish list, and it went on sale, and I got it. Next, I got some poetry, and I got Homebody by Rupi Kaur. I've read 2 other poetries by her before and enjoyed one, the other one not so much, so I'm hoping I enjoy this one. Next, I got Daughter of Flood and Fury, another fantasy. I think it's self-published, and I also got this one for free. I think it has female-female relationship in it, and it's not a long book, so I picked it up. Then I got 6 Rooms, which is like a horror, and I'm not sure if it's like a bunch of little stories or if it's just like one big story about, I don't know if it's like a hotel or this house or whatever, but it sounds really good and spooky, and I just love spooky books. And finally, the last book I picked up, I actually got it today. It was a gift from my mother. So that is The Starless Crown by James Rollins. I saw this at Ollie's, and this was only like $5, so I couldn't not get it. A hardback fantasy book. Like, I think this came out, was it last year or 2021? I feel like it was last year, but I could be wrong. I've seen some good things about this, and I've seen some other like mixed reviews about this too, but it sounds really good from the synopsis, because you've got a gifted student foretells an apocalypse. Her reward is a sentence of death. A broken soldier, a drunken prince, and an imprisoned thief. So it's just like this found family, like ragtag group, and I just love those in stories. So I really want to get into this. Like, this just sounds like so much fun, and I don't hear a lot of people talk about this anymore, so I want to give it a try and see if it's good or not. So those are all the books I hauled, all the books I read, and all the books I'm currently reading. Again, I just want to say a huge thank you to all the subscribers I have gained and have had, and I'm just so thankful from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I love every one of you, and I'm so happy that you guys have found my channel and that I have found you and have been interacting with you guys. I love it when you comment and talk with me and like and subscribe. Like, I love it. I'm so thankful. So I really hope that I can make more friends in this community and just be a part of conversations about books and just make lots of friends. And I'm babbling right now, so let's just end this video. If you like this video, like it down below, comment letting me know how many books you've read so far this month, and Subscribe if you want to. I'd greatly appreciate it. And until my next video, I will see you guys again soon. Bye!